In this video, I'm going to talk about the famous YouTuber Dream. He has over 28 million subscribers as of today's recording. Now, the reason I want to talk about Dream is because he revealed just recently that he has ADHD. Now, just like a lot of us, sometimes we don't like to reveal our ADHD, just like Dream. Now, if you're not familiar with Dream, he is a famous Minecraft YouTuber, and no one knows what his face looks like. He has this smiley little mask face that he uses as an icon where he's streaming on YouTube or Twitch, wherever he decides to stream. And so no one really knows what his face actually looks like other than his close family and friends. But it's so true that us people with ADHD, we have our own masks. Us people that have different mental health issues also mask, where we don't want to reveal what our inner demons are or our struggles that we deal with on a daily basis. And it's known as ADHD masking, where we don't actually reveal, we don't want other people to know that we have ADHD. And we do this on a day-to-day basis where we mask ourselves. And so it really is inspiring to read stories and actually learn about people who are willing to unveil that they do have ADHD, just like Dream. So Dream was somebody that basically struggled in school. He talks about this in some of his streams that he did, some interviews that he had, that he struggled in school where he couldn't concentrate. He had a hard time focusing, and just like anybody with ADHD, and he would get into trouble, and he even wouldn't do homework. In fact, what he would focus a lot of his time is he would have these notebooks where he mentioned that he would draw different game ideas, also different website ideas. And then of course, he got really good into coding. He mentioned in one of his interviews that coding became really easy for him. And if you watch any of his videos, his YouTube videos, it's really fascinating how well it structured all these different Minecraft different areas, as well as to be able to lay out a story that was making these very engaging videos. And there's a reason why he has 28 million subscribers on YouTube, because he's a YouTube genius. So how did he do that? How was he able to do that with having ADHD? Well, he says in a lot of his interviews, especially with an interview with Anthony Padilla, that he does feel like his ADHD did help him become that YouTube genius. He thinks that his ADHD really helped contribute to have that creative outlook. Also, on top of that, Dream even not only does he do YouTube and Minecraft, what he also does is he's recently even released his own songs, which is amazing. So you can see that, yeah, schooling wasn't for him. And so he found a different avenue to really tap into his super genius. I talk about this a lot, it's so important to really find what that passion is, what you're really good at, and using your ADHD to hyper focus on that. And that exactly is what Dream did. Dream also goes in with this interview talking with Anthony Padilla about wearing the mask. Like, why has he not revealed his face? And it's kind of a funny story because he blew up pretty quickly. In 2020 is when, everyone was in the pandemic, people were watching more things, and then of course gaming more, and he felt like he blew up real fast during the pandemic with having that. And because his style of videos didn't show his face, and because he blew up so fast, having fame, I definitely don't know exactly what it is to feel like that per se, but blowing up that quickly, you definitely want to hide behind a mask probably. And he didn't mention, he mentions he probably might unveil his face. He might actually show that, but there's only a few friends that actually know what he truly looks like. Even some of his close friends don't even know what he looks like because he just streams with them. But isn't it so true that he even talks about a lot of his different mental health issues as well, not just ADHD, where we tend to hide behind a mask. We don't want to unveil all of our personal space and just tell it to the world, because the world can be pretty cruel. And I can understand why you want to hide behind a mask, but at the same time, we got to embrace it. And I really am happy that Dream decided to actually unveil that he had ADHD, because a lot of people didn't know he had ADHD. I didn't know he had ADHD, and it really inspires me, and it should inspire you to realize just because you have ADHD doesn't mean you can't make it in this world. Doesn't mean you can look at different avenues to becoming successful. But one of the big controversial things that Dream actually unveiled in this interview, he mentions about ADHD medications. And when he was taking ADHD medications, he mentioned with Anthony Padilla that he didn't feel himself. He felt more like a zombie. He felt like he couldn't be creative. And so he's like, that's not for me. And he threw away his medications down the drain. Now, a lot of people didn't like that because he's like, oh, now you're telling people that they just throw out their medications. He did say in the interview, he's like, look, I don't know if that was the right decision. I'm not here to give you any advice. He did unveil that, but still, Twitter blew up and was just attacking Dream because of that. Now, I gotta say, I had the same experience. where when I was taking ADHD medications, I did not feel like myself. I felt like a zombie. I knew it wasn't for me. And so I got rid of my medications. And by doing that, I felt like I was myself again. And I found other avenues to help with my ADHD. Just like Dream did, Dream found other avenues to really tap into his super genius. And because of that, he is the person that he is today. He's this YouTube genius. Having 28 million subscribers, that is not an easy thing to do. And now he's actually writing music. I mean, and he's interacting and having network with all these different people. Now, if he was on his medication, would he be the same person today? I wouldn't think so. It's really hard to say, but I wouldn't think he would be the same creative person that we know Dream to be today. Now, I'm not here to say that, oh, everybody needs to stop their medications. No, definitely I'm not saying that. I think that it depends on you and your needs. I think a lot of people do need medications. There's a lot of people who don't need medications. Depending on your severity of your ADHD, I think there's definitely different levels of that. But what I want you to understand is what you can learn from Dream. And this is what I did throughout my whole childhood, and I continue to do, is I seek out after people who are willing to unmask their ADHD, to be unmasked, to be able to reveal that they have ADHD. Because to me, that's inspiring. I would look for those stories for people who had dyslexia and ADHD, because it's like, wow, they had it and they were able to be successful. Why can't I? And the same goes for you. Why can't you be successful? If Dream could do it, if all these other people can do it, even myself included, I have ADHD and dyslexia. But I was able to go through college and medical school. And if you're interested in finding out more about my story and how the challenges I faced and how I was able to succeed, then watch this video right here where I go in depth about my story of having ADHD and succeeding with it.